So Chris Bumstead has revealed his top 10 exercises to stay as muscular as possible. And what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to review them and let you know whether I agree or disagree. I mean, would you rather listen to him, Mr. Olympia about 1,307 times, or me, just some little YouTuber that's a personal trainer from Leicester? I mean,
is it even a question?
Don't answer that. Let's get into it anyway.
I'm gonna have to count it on my hands. Squats.
Why?
Just overall, like...
First of all, squats, is that a surprise? Absolutely not. For me, to maximize leg development, you need to do some form of squat variant or leg press variant. One of the two at least. Let's see what else he has to say.
They help glutes, quads, like a large portion of the leg. That
Barbell
really
back
help.
squat.
Barbell back squat, super simple.
Right.
If it's my whole life, I might actually do Smith machine squats, because it'll help my knees in a little bit, be a little bit easier.
Okay.
Less stability, and people hate me for that, but I love squatting in the Smith.
So Chris has got a good point here when he talks about the safety element of the Smith machine being a little bit more friendly on his knees. I'm assuming he just means he's able to place his feet a little bit differently with his position in comparison to a free weight barbell squats. For example, what he can do is have his feet a little bit further up, sit back into it a little bit more. That way there's less torque going through the knee, a little bit less knee flexion, so a little bit less strain there. I think a Smith squat is a decent option. However, for me, in my exercise library, what I'd go for is a pendulum squat. The reason being, we've got that back support, so I don't get a lower back pump. My mechanics personally don't work too well with a barbell squat. Also with a pendulum, no matter how immobile you are, 99.9% of people will be able to get decent depth on a pendulum squat. But yeah, fair enough. If Chris gets on with barbell squats, then yeah, I think that is a good selection.
Deadlifts. Okay. Just to get something that'll target my hamstrings, and so I don't have to take out another 10 of something too hamstring focused and glute and back focused.
Deadlifts, I can't argue with that. When you've only got 10 exercises, you want to get your most bang for your buck. So a deadlift, going to hit all the posterior chain, so I would have a deadlift in my top 10 as well. But what I would say, if I was to specify it, I'd go with an RDL or a stiff leg. Probably an RDL because I'm a little bit better at them. So the reason for that is that obviously with the eccentric component of the lift, we are controlling it more than a conventional. And also with the RDL in comparison to the conventional, the quad is going to be used a lot less. Therefore, the posterior chain is going to be worked a lot more. So I'm not saying the conventional isn't going to work your posterior chain a lot, obviously it is. However, if I was choosing one variant, I'd go with the RDL. But yeah, let's see what else he has to say.
Pull-ups, so I can hit my back and biceps in one.
Overhand, underhand?
Neutral.
Yeah, I rate that. So pull-ups with a neutral grip, you're going to produce more force in comparison to a pronated grip. And being in that position as well, you are going to bias the lats a bit more. So yeah, I'd go with that. I would always have some kind of vertical pull-in movement in my program. So for me, yeah, it'd either be that or a neutral grip pull down. And for me, I think I'd go with a pull-up just because it's a little bit more enjoyable than pull downs, I think. And also, you got to think about when you're in a dieting phase, when you're trying to hold muscle as you get leaner, usually you lose a little bit of strength towards the latter stages of a diet, whereas with pull-ups you might actually get stronger, so that would be a little bit of a plus.
Incline dumbbell press. I find incline's a little bit better on your shoulders, so if you're doing it's the only exercise you can do, you won't fuck up your shoulders as much. And dumbbell, it'll just keep you a little bit more symmetrical.
Yeah, I love that.
Again, can't argue with an incline dumbbell press. I feel like that is a bread and butter movement. I like the squats, I like the deadlifts. You're gonna get a lot out of your pecs. Being in that incline position as well, you're gonna bias more of the clavicular fibers of the chest, which is often an area people are lagging. And like Chris mentions, it's going to keep you more symmetrical in comparison to if you was using like a machine or a barbell where one can compensate more for the other side. So yeah, personally for me, I've done incline dumbbell presses for a very long time. However, if I was going to choose between that or something else for an incline or horizontal pressing movement, it's either that or a converging chest press machine, just because you're able to get the pecs fully short. However, although you could argue the incline dumbbell press isn't as optimal as that, I hate using that word, I think I'd still go with a dumbbell press. Like personally for me, if I did a PB on an incline dumbbell press, I get more of a buzz out of that than a plate loaded chest press machine. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the incline dumbbell press as well. And I'd go for like a 15 to 30 degree angle. Nothing too steep because I want the chest to do the majority of the work and not the front delt. So yeah, incline dumbbell press, I'll go with that.
I've always loved that exercise, which is weird because incline barbell press is one of the most uncomfortable.
for my shoulders.
Really?
Yeah.
But you can do dumbbell?
Yeah.
Most people feel better with dumbbell because you can go in a position
Shift around a little bit
for you, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another thing with incline dumbbell press. You're able to create a natural elbow path because with a dumbbell, we've got freedom at the wrist joint. So yeah, that's another thing to think about.
That's 4.
That's 4, yeah.
Yeah, 6 left.
This is gonna be hard without like, I'd like have to make a list of 20 and cut out. But
yeah, you know what? Chris is having to come up with these exercises off the top of his head. That's something to bear in mind. Like if we had 20 minutes to think about it and write things down and choose between this or that, his list might look a little bit different in comparison to an interview, you know, choosing exercises off the top of his head.
dumbbell shoulder press,
Seated.
seated,
Yep.
dumbbell shoulder press. Yeah, I think that'll help your triceps and shoulders a lot.
Dumbbell shoulder press, yeah, it's a movement I really enjoy. I prefer it more of like a high incline, if you know what I mean, like 1 notch down on the bench, just because I can create a bit more stability and it just feels a little bit nicer, to be fair. And I tend to find I don't get any shoulder niggles being at that angle. So yeah, I would go with that. However, if I'm already doing an incline dumbbell press for my vertical press, I'd actually probably go with a plate loaded shoulder machine, just because doing 2 free weight dumbbell movements. Imagine kicking heavy dumbbells up with a shoulder press after doing a heavy incline dumbbell press. That would be quite hard work. But yeah, I would do a vertical press within my 10 movements. So yeah, not too far apart with that one.
Maybe a close grip flat bench.
Oh,
Different part of the chest and triceps. both getting hit
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
so close grip bench press. Now I do agree that I think if you want to grow some decent triceps, you should do some form of narrow grip, close grip pressing. However, I wouldn't go with a close grip bench press. The reason being, with a pronated grip on a bench like that, if you look at my wrists here, whatever I do to my wrists, my elbows will follow, right? So if we're in a pronated grip, when we're fatiguing, I feel like it's more likely for my elbows to flare out. Whereas if we went for a neutral grip dumbbell press, if I rotate the wrists in like that, my elbows are tucked in, and that way I'm gonna bias more tricep, and I feel like it's less likely for my elbows to flare out. So I'd go with that. Although you could argue there's less stability there, so maybe you can produce more force with the barbell, there's that argument. Or you could even do like a tricep dip machine, or even just normal tricep dips. But in my opinion, if I was choosing one, yeah, I'd go with a neutral grip dumbbell press.
Dumbbell curl. Just something specific.
Brilliant. I'm so glad that was in there.
How do you want to live without doing fucking dumbbell curls?
It doesn't even
for the
help your
rest of your
physique.
life,
I just
you know?
need it for my mindset.
Exactly, yeah.
With that, are you supinated? Again, this is the only one that you're going to get. Are you seated? Are you
combine
standing?
Standing supinated.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
The OG of dumbbell curls.
Just OG, yeah.
Yeah, and it's got to be
Stick to
one
the
arm at a
basics.
time. It can't be both arms together. It's got to be one arm
One
at
at a time, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, 6 to the basics.
So yeah, Chris is mentioning basics, and this is something I'm seeing a lot in this video. Basic bread and butter movements. I feel like in 2023, every person in the gym is doing these fancy exercises. And whilst I do think they have a time and a place for the right people, I feel like things are way too far that way now. And it's kind of refreshing to hear someone, you know, as big as Chris Bumstead saying that these basic exercises are the ones that he'd choose. So in terms of a bicep exercise, I would have one because like Chris said, it's just fun, and also we're gonna grow some decent biceps. I'd go with a cable curl rather than the dumbbells, just because the resistance profile of them will be a little bit better, a little bit more consistent. And obviously we can manipulate that as well, depending on where we're standing, whether we're standing close to the cable, obviously we're gonna be working more in the shortened range. If we're standing a bit further away from the cable, we can work more of the lengthened range. So I would go with a cable curl rather than the dumbbells. And the other thing as well is that I wouldn't do one at a time, because I feel like that just drags out the set a little bit too much. But you know what, whichever one you did, whether you did an alternating dumbbell curl like Chris is suggesting, or a cable curl, barbell curl, whatever, the actual end result isn't going to be much difference at all, if any. So for me, like Chris also mentions, it's more probably about enjoyment than anything. But yeah, I'm gonna go with a cable curl.
I think you've got 3 left.
Yeah, 3 left. I'm thinking what parts of the body I'm missing right now.
Calves.
There's no way on earth, if I had just 10 exercises to do for the rest of my life, there's no way I'd include any calf work. I just feel like 1, no matter what I do, they don't really grow anyway. That sounds a bit of a cop-out, but it's true. 2, I just don't really care that much. And 3, it's pretty boring. So yeah, we wouldn't do calves.
Did I say bent over row?
No.
Bent over row.
Okay.
That'll help like stability, like core as well. And then like lower back and obviously upper back.
Yeah, because the only back exercise that you've had so far is the pull-up.
Deadlifts and pull-ups.
Yeah.
Bent over rows.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Bent over row, can I argue with that? I'd say no, like it is a solid exercise. You're gonna get so much out of that. However, if I'm already doing a deadlift in my program, I would think about my recovery capabilities. There's no way I'd do a deadlift and then a bent over row in the same session because my lower back, my erectors would be absolutely smashed. I guess you could put them on different days. However, in my own personal preference and opinion, I'd rather do a chest supported T-bar row. But I mean, why would you listen to me? Chris BUMSTEAD'S, the man.
Yeah.
Probably like a hanging leg raise, just to make sure your core is getting hit. You're not like up your back. And then
hanging leg raise, so a very good exercise to develop the abs. However, personally, I wouldn't include that in my top 10 exercises, just because I know with the deadlift, the abs are gonna be under isometric contraction. They're gonna develop really well. So as long as you get lean enough, I feel like if you do deadlifts with a decent amount of load, I have no doubt that when you lean down, your abs are gonna look pretty decent. I get why he has included it, but I'd rather use that exercise for probably a lateral raise with a machine, just because I want them 3D delts. That medial delt is so important for getting that V-taper.
this is a tough one. I think I'm trying to like focus on either lateral raises or like a overhead tricep extension. Because I haven't had a lot of like specific triceps. I would probably do lateral raises just to get some meaty delts over.
Okay, I thought it might be coming. Chris has chose a lateral raise. I feel like you can't miss that out. I know if you do a shoulder press, you are still gonna hit a lot of that medial delt, especially if you go with a pronated grip. But I feel like that's an area you have to prioritize to get that aesthetic looking physique. And the other one he mentioned was the overhead rope tricep extension. And that or a dumbbell skull crusher would be my last pick, just so that I can bias more of the long head of the tricep, because that muscle on the bottom of our tricep there, that's the biggest muscle in the tricep. So if you want bigger looking arms, that's the one that you'd want to prioritize. So you know what, if we compare my list to Chris's, there's actually not that much difference, but it's very interesting to see that he's chose a lot of basic exercises. But I'm going to cut myself off there so I don't waffle any longer. I hope you did enjoy this video. I hope it was just worth your time. I'd really appreciate it if you dropped this video a like, left a comment in the comment section, and smash that subscribe button below, because that supports me and the channel. But anyway, thank you for watching.